Okay, so what we have is a possible commissioner in family court, David J. Cowan, actually probably under counseling himself, if he is definitely a gay justice who's sitting in family court deciding straight family values for American families here. And
if he's not in counseling, he should be.
Yeah.
He's twisted.
But he had ordered counseling for you, the father, and maybe you could see your children after 6 months of counseling.
Yes, he ordered counseling for me. He ordered 6 months of counseling, and only then might I be able to see my kids. So I went and I had 2 psych evaluations by Dr. William C. Wershing, who runs the Exodus Clinic down in Culver City. Dr. Wershing came to court July 20th, 2009, testified on my behalf that I did not need counseling and that I needed to see my kids. He sat in the witness stand under oath. This man jeopardized his whole career. If I was a danger to my kids, this man was placing me in my kids'
possession, sphere,
near proximity, right? Yeah, and yet he testified that I needed to be raising my kids, and gave documents, signed documents to that effect. And Commissioner David J. Cowan twisted his testimony
to fit his
needs, and excused the doctor. Then twisted his testimony 4 or 5 months later in December of 2009 to maintain the same restraining order on top of me by saying that Dr. Wershing had said I needed counseling, which the transcripts clearly showed. Dr. Wershing said no, that I needed to parent my kids.
Now this is an appointed commissioner, not an elected position by Cowan.
This is an appointed commissioner,
and
appointed real estate lawyer who should be selling bungalows in West Hollywood and not deciding family values here on the West Side.
Yeah. So I understand that there are 2 different ways where someone such as yourself could, if you were in a court with a judge, you'd have to get a petition to relieve yourself of that judge. Mr. Cowan has refused to recuse himself from your case.
That's correct. He refused. Absolutely.
And the only
denied
way
my request. And I took it upon myself to go to Norwalk and to start a recusal process through the election process. And they informed me, Damon, we're sorry. Mr. Duvall, we're sorry. He was not elected. He was appointed. You can't go through these channels. He's untouchable. He, as an appointed commissioner in family court, there's no due process that can remove this man.
Other than the appellate process, which has continually gone against.
Other than going to the Commission on Judicial Performance and the American Bar Association and asking them for assistance. And anybody that has knocked on their doors knows that's it's a futile effort. The petition process to get petitions signed is the people speaking. A few thousand signatures and bam, they're right off the ballot. Look what they did to Gray Davis. He was out.
Correct.
The people cannot speak on an appointed commissioner.
So you have a gay commissioner and you have no recourse. He is probably in counseling, no doubt himself, over his own life, and
as most twisted people are.
And someone appointed him to put him in family court of all courts, a man from real estate law,
who would then appoint Amy L. Neiman, a minors counsel who is under contempt, 100+ contempt charges in another courtroom, who I've asked to have removed. A blatant contempt hearing that stood the test of time until a dismissal got rid of it under auspicious circumstances, and is under appeal, effectively under appeal, that has won 2 dismissal attempts by the opposition. And this contempt charge stands. So David J. Cowan, this twisted homosexual commissioner who's a real estate lawyer, sitting on a bench, appointing a minors counsel who has also no business making decisions on family, has a failed marriage herself, has
no psychological degree on either part of their
stating I need psychological counseling. So you've got an attorney posing as a judge who's assisted by another attorney to do his judicial duties, who's got another buddy. So effectively in this family court you have 3 attorneys versus a father without an attorney, with no judicial officer standing. It's 3 attorneys versus 1, with no judicial officer. Only one of the 3 attorneys gets to run up to the judge and sign his name because he gets to play judge. and come down and be part of the fun, to beat up a father, tear his kids, and throw his kids into a trauma pit where they're being abused as we speak. I've got bruised footprints on legs. I've got a testimony from a daughter fingering this molester on how.
And you're being denied mental health records currently by Amy Neiman,
As a parent at the St. John's Child Development Center, I was denied access to my children's files because Amy L. Neiman told them I had lost my parental rights. You have to lose your parental rights, you have to leave family court, have a whole hearing in dependency court downtown. It's a whole huge process to lose your parental rights. I've just been a restrained father with no evidence, and now Amy's lying to the St. John's Child Development Center saying that I've lost my parental rights. I can't get my children's files. I haven't seen their grades for 2 years. What gives? Where are we?
What reason?
country is this?
What reason were they giving for denying the grades of your children?
The grades were denied me because the principal had spoken to the attorneys and said, "I'm sorry, Mr. Duvall, we spoke to the attorneys and you're not to have those."
Quite peculiar.
Quite peculiar.
So your ex-wife has now been remarried, and they are living with their stepfather, who is an accused pedophile,
That's
uninvestigated pedophile.
That's correct.
And the pedophilia may have continued. It may have continued, and we're looking at, you haven't seen your children in approximately...
In almost 4 years.
In 4 years.
This December. No meaningful conversation in the last 3.5 years. They're scared to death to talk to me on the phone. I don't know what they've been told. Parental alienation is a buzzword, but it's real. And these kids have been systematically removed from my life. They have no emotional standing with me on the phone, no meaningful conversation. I do not know what's happening in their life. I do not know what they look like. I'm going to be going on my 5.5-year restraining order through the end of 2013, all because of lies. Of lies. I parented my kids for the first 5 years, every single day of their life.
We've seen the video posted on your website of you with the children in their school, at the plays, at the swimming pool,
Thank God I
at
have
the
those
beaches.
Videos. Thank God I have those videos, because every one of my children's photos were taken from underneath a friend's house 3 blocks from here. Somebody went into a house, underneath the house, and stole all of my children's photos that I had collected since they were children. They're gone. Thank God I have those videos I posted online.
So the major crux of Commissioner Cowan's dispute with you was that you didn't seek counseling for 6 months.
Yes, I didn't seek it because I knew it was the start of the whitewashing of my credibility. So I went, instead of going to counseling, I didn't do this in defiance of the court. I really was under the understanding that they wanted a psych evaluation, which is much better than counseling. I went and got completely psych evaluated by a psychiatrist who teaches counselors. I went to the highest level I could have and brought back a clean bill of health 2 years in a row, 2008, 2009. And you've been doctor and his testimony.
And you've been fighting this court case for over 4 years and writing your own legal paperwork, and you've protested peacefully outside in front of the courthouse. You've never broken your restraining order. You've been basically having perfect temperament to regain custody of your children, and that somehow is being overlooked by everyone within the court, that you have played by their rules, but you've lost.
Yes,
and
by playing by all the rules, I've lost. I've done everything by the book, except my going to 6 months of counseling. I went to and got a psych evaluation. That's the only difference that's happened in court.
And you've also...
But I've also called them on their own. I've done all the right things, and they're the ones that have committed all the crimes, from perjury, falsifying documents. Once I confronted Amy Neiman with perjury, she cited Section 47, and in her opposition paper, she says she can falsify documents, commit perjury with malice if it betters her position. It's in the document. There's documents missing from my file. I filed to have the commissioner arrested, a citizen's arrest. That document is gone from the file. That the sheriffs here sent that document downtown to Fred Bennett, who's county counsel. So you disappeared.
So your children have basically been kidnapped from you.
I'm fighting with what should be due process in a court of law. I'm not getting any help from the police, from the sheriffs, from the courtroom, from the clerks, from the bailiffs. This is our American family court. This is how we operate. There's no checks and balances. You can't go to anybody. I refuse to operate under vigilantism. That's my only other option. How ridiculous is that? How ridiculous is that? That's why Lawless America is doing these interviews. That's exactly why Lawless America is in every state around this country, bringing light to the fact that there's no justice in here. They do what they want. They'll rip apart a family. They'll put an imbalanced, twisted homosexual freak that's going to make accusations and allegations, and he's legislating from the bench. This man is legislating from the bench and threatening those that confront him. Appeal it, he says. Go ahead and appeal it. I'm sure they'll side with me.
He must realize he's in a position where no one can take him out with a petition. He's an appointed commissioner.
Why do you think I stood out there for 18 months every day? Why do you think I'm standing here right now and saying it, telling it like it is? Why do you think I've written hundreds of documents fighting for my children in there?
Do you recall if the state of California ever enlightened you to the difference between a family court commissioner and a family court judge as to the guidelines before you stipulated to allow Mr. Cowan to hear the case, that there are differences in if you have procedural differences against a judge or a commissioner, that there are differences in trying to seek the approval of the public to have new representation, a petition drive versus...
I'll answer that. There's no information that is provided to any citizen when they go to stipulate for a judicial officer. You have no idea what your options are. Whether you can recuse this, you don't have to stipulate. If you do it 5 days before or 10 days after or whatever it is, that you have the right not to have this person hear your case. You're not given any of these options.
So no education.
And you're basically setting up to be arrested without Miranda rights. I'm basically a criminal. If I have less rights than a felon in jail.
Once you sign the stipulation unknowingly about giving up your rights.
Yeah. Exactly. This guy had a green light to do whatever he wants. All judges have that right. But they're bound by their oath, their sworn oath. They are bound by it to uphold the Constitution. And that's the only saving grace that might save my case with my kids and get them out of harm's way. And that's, again, why Lawless America is doing these interviews. And what else is a parent to do? You've lost all your rights. You're being told around town to other doctors by other officers of the court things that aren't true, that you've lost your parental rights. Yeah, I can't tell you. If you're a parent, you might know what I'm talking about. If you walk in to get files on your children, you've been told you've lost your parental rights. It's
so by you not having it
to know the feeling. It's like you've been told what?
So by you not having an attorney represent you, by your wife having the
laws are even there to protect those that represent themselves, and these courts do not abide by those rules. I've been told in no uncertain terms that I'm to be held at the same standard as a legal professional that's gone to school. That's like me going to get surgery.
Sounds like punishment.
It's like me going to get surgery. I'm required to have the same medical training as the doctor that operates on me. When all that's in here is a constitution. We're a nation of laws, not a nation of men. These guys are turning into a nation of fairies and agendas that are somewhere way out from what is a solid principle of a basic strong family. I'm sorry. This wake up and smell the coffee. This is sick shit. This is sick shit. And I'm just grateful that Lawless America is coming around to do all of these interviews and pull the lid off the crap that's going on in these courtrooms, tearing apart a God-given parental-child bond that has is so far above and beyond any rule of law that should be able to get its teeth into and rip apart with its freaking teeth and leave it to just fucking die. Excuse my French.
I'm wondering
It's
how many.
happening. I'm sitting here watching it. And,
I'm wondering how many religious Americans would agree with you that you were entitled to a straight family court justice judge, other than the commissioner who's gay, to decide what would happen.
Do you think, I ask you this, do you think these gay commissioners or these gay, do you think any of these homosexuals want straight people judging them in their courts of law?
Once they get
Are you
married
kidding
and
me?
divorced?
Once they go through their little marriage fiasco and crap, you think they want straight people judging their divorces? No. This is a twisted element that has risen well above where it needs to be. I'm watching it. I'm feeling the wrath of this man who's taken his unresolved, imbalanced, twisted issues out on a straight father.
And your children.
And my children. And doing it with pleasure.
He's destroyed over 4-year period, he's destroyed the relationship that you had with your children.
You couldn't put a price on losing your kids for 4 years.
You attempted to bring telephone files showing that your wife wasn't even picking up the phone to answer, to allow you to speak to your children continually, and he even denied that evidence into the court.
A year of my not being able to talk to my kids, of phone records from my phone to my children, documented on my phone records with a AT&T representative and the envelope they came in. All the evidence there, dismissed as hearsay. Dismissed as hearsay. My phone records on my phone, that's just another.
So he wanted to grind the axe and not even allow you to talk to your children.
Vindictive.
No visitation, no supervised visitation for 4 years. They give that to criminals in America to see their children. He could have offered that and chose not to.
He's so far down a wrong road that he would be scared to ever admit he's wrong. That's how far he's gone wrong with this whole thing. He would never. The mountain of evidence against this man is overwhelming. And he's going to just sit in his hole and fester until it's bulldozed over. And hopefully this Lawless America production will have a lot to do with him and others across this country who've been denied the same that I have. I'm not alone. I am not alone.
Thousands of others are going to be
Thousands of others are
videotaped.
going through the same crap.
Their injustices.
That's right, and it involves.
You have a
CBS.
unique case because you have an appointed gay commissioner. Obviously, that's not too common yet.
It's unique in that aspect. It's unique in the fact that he's gay. It's unique in the fact that I protested out here for 18 months after I became disabled from 2 unfortunate accidents that has left me barely crawling along, and yet of course you can see how dangerous I am with my replaced knee and cervical fusion, and I'm still a restrained father who can't get near my kids.
Not even supervised visitation has been allowed by a gay commissioner who never ever wanted to have children on his own. Sitting justice in straight family values in Santa Monica County Court.
August 18th, 2009, I had a friend sit in on my courtroom. This is a learned man. He graduated law school, passed the bar, never practiced law, sat in and watched David J. Cowan with my pleadings. He said it was draconian, signed a document to the fact it was draconian, and it is in my file right now, that what he witnessed was nothing short and shy of draconian in 2009. It's 2012. It continued and snowballed, and I still haven't seen my kids, and I do not know really how they are.